didn't want a few words. First, I think the challenges, the impact of climate change on health is clear. It's heat wave, malaria, dengue, asthma and respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, mental health conditions, you name it. And I think we're agreeing that the impact of climate on health is the most compelling, and that we need to really help people to understand that. And they can understand easier if we tell them about the health or use the health argument. Of course, the ice cap melting or the warming is very important, and it's happening, but it seems distant to many people. So I think this argument could help us, the health argument, because they can understand, okay, our children are dying or our citizens are dying because of all these health conditions as a result of the impact of health. And what do we do to address those? I think we know what the long list of mitigation factors, a long list of adaptation. I think everybody knows. But in my exchange with you, with some of you, you told me, we discussed, you know, many of our leaders understand climate change, but they're not really invested in climate and health. So how do we make sure that our leaders recognize the climate and health? And how can we really make sure that if they understand, then mainstreaming of climate and health in all policies will be easy? Because without first understanding, recognizing, you cannot move into mainstreaming climate and health in policies. So I thought this private discussion would be happy to share it with you, because it has consequences. For instance, some of you said, when discussions on climate change happen at national level, the health minister is not even invited into the meeting. This could be because of lack of recognition of the political leaders, the prime minister or the president, in linking between climate and health. So I think investing on that will be very important, because if the head of state or head of government understands, means it can help also in mainstreaming climate and health in all policies, then it can also go into the multi-sectoral approach that can help us to address climate change and health, both through mitigation and adaptation. And the other important element I remember during this couple of days I heard is the role of communities, especially engaging communities is important, including marginalized, which are even most affected, and vulnerable groups in climate adaptation and mitigation efforts, and incorporating their perspectives, because we always tell them we know what we do and do as we tell you, but there are traditional knowledges, as some of you have told me, and there is their own perspective and local practices, and considering those will be very, very important. You know, of course, taking into consideration all the issues we discuss among ourselves. And then the other issue is, well, again, the last 2-3 days, the importance of cooperation, especially the focus on best practices. Many countries, we have been going through a long list of practices, many countries. How can we pull all those best practices so that countries can share or make use of the best practices that countries are really having? Because we don't need to reinvent the wheel, we can just learn from each other. And I thought these two combinations found them to be important and good. One is the local knowledge and taking the local perspective and engaging the communities and helping them also contribute their share, but at the same time learning from outside, also taking the best practices, and no need to reinvent the wheel. So I just wanted to share those. But I think the recognition of health as in the COP28, of course it took us 27 COPs to come here. will help in the first challenge that we have discussed, meaning recognition of the link between climate and health by our heads of state and heads of government. I think it can help. And I thank UAE for being the pathfinder to have the first health meeting, but not only global. I think the national recognition of the links between the two, I think will be there. And then finally, I would like to leave you with a story of my own experience when I visited Tuvalu in 2019. And I think some of you were there yesterday when I spoke about Falu. This was a young boy, 13 years old, and we were discussing about climate change and and I was really impressed. And I asked him questions. And then finally, he told me, you know, we contemplate with my friends what to do if in case Tuvalu sinks. He actually said when Tuvalu sinks, because he said his parents and elderly said, Tuvalu, it's a matter of time, but will sink in some decades or something. Then I was really sad, and I asked him, so what do you think you will do? What do you say with your colleagues you will do? Then he said, some of us say we'll sink with Tuvalu, and others say we will flee to Fiji or seek refuge in Fiji. What made me really sad is this is a child, and children should be children. Imagine worrying about the future. The shoulder of children is not really enough to shoulder this kind of problem. But it's a reminder to all of us to take this issue very seriously. There are people who deniers. It's really sad. It's happening, and everybody knows. And I believe we should remember Falu, especially our people in the small island states, and the true stories that are coming from there, be it Caribbean, Pacific, or other small island states. So thank you so much again. Really happy listening to you. And with your permission, I have another commitment. I will be leaving. But all the best. This is the start. But inshallah, we will maintain it, and the subsequent COP hosts will position health at the center like UAE did, and we'll have better forums, not only to discuss, but also to make progress. The action is more important now, and we're getting late, so we need to focus on action as well. Thank you so much. And Maria, back to you.
Thank you so much, DG, and I think we all recognize your leadership to bring us here. If we are on the Health Ever Day at the COP, it's extremely important, and we thank you very much for that and for giving us this hope that this poor boy in Tuvalu maybe needs so much. So you talk about this ethical responsibility, and that, no pressure, we will continue with the discussion with this ethical responsibility on our table. Thank you so much, Dr.
And thank you so much, Maria. I would like to use this opportunity to thank you for your leadership, for your commitment, and you should know that I'm proud of you.